Hi, this is Cheating Wife. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this story. Your support motivates me to share even more real stories from our life. And don't forget to leave a comment. I'll be really happy to read your thoughts.
I never thought I'd find myself in this position, sitting here, torn between the two people who should have been the closest to me, my husband and my mother, both pointing fingers at each other, both accusing the other of something unthinkable. One of them tried to kiss the other. One of them is lying. And the most painful part? I still don't know who. It's been a week, but the shock hasn't worn off. The disbelief hasn't gone away. I replay every word, every text message, every phone call, trying to piece together the truth. And yet, no matter how much I analyze, the puzzle never fits. The irony is that I can almost see the ending. My marriage hanging by a thread, my relationship with my mother shattered beyond repair, and me standing in the middle, completely broken. But how I got here, that's the story. And it starts earlier than that Wednesday afternoon, when everything collapsed. To give you some background, I met my husband about 3.5 years ago. He was charming in that boyish, slightly reckless way that made me feel alive at a time when I was drowning in my own head. We married 2 years ago, and I thought I was securing a partner for life. Except life wasn't that simple. Our marriage had been rocky. We'd even talked about divorce at one point. Too many fights, too many misunderstandings, too much emotional baggage on both sides. But recently, things had started to improve. We were trying harder, both of us. At least, that's what I thought. Then there's my mother. I wish I could tell you we were close, that she was the kind of woman who supported me through everything. But she wasn't. My mother has always been complicated. She regrets having children. She's told us that more than once. She was male-centered, abusive in subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways. Growing up, I always felt like an afterthought. This year, I finally made a decision to cut her out of my life, or at least keep my distance. For my mental health, for my sanity. I'd been in therapy for years, dealing with PTSD, depression, and anxiety, trying to repair the damage. Contact with her always made me worse, so I stopped seeing her. I only texted her a handful of times, mostly to explain why I needed space. But she never really respected boundaries. She never has. The one exception? My husband still saw her. She's a qualified masseuse, and every now and then, he'd go over to her house for a massage. She offered them for free. Because you're family, she said. He liked saving the money, and honestly, I didn't think too much of it at first. I didn't want contact, but if he was comfortable, fine. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Last Wednesday, everything changed. It started like any normal day. He left for his massage around lunchtime. At 3 p.m., he called me to say he was on his way home. What stood out was that we stayed on the phone the whole drive, nearly an hour. That wasn't like him. He doesn't normally like talking on the phone while driving, but I didn't question it. I thought maybe he was just keeping me company. He got home, we hung out, watched Netflix, and for a couple of hours, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But then, at 5:30 p.m., he turned to me and said something that turned my stomach upside down. Your mom just texted me because basically she tried to kiss me today. I blinked. Excuse me? He handed me his phone. There it was, her message. After what you did, I don't want to see you again. You are my daughter's husband, and it was completely inappropriate. She has a right to know, and I'll have to tell her. And then, apparently, she blocked him. But that wasn't all I saw. I also noticed his earlier text to her, sent around 3:50 p.m., after the massage, after he'd supposedly been violated. Thanks for the session today. Hopefully we can book another one soon if you're okay with that. I froze. Why would he send something so friendly if she had just tried to kiss him? Why would he thank her and ask for another session? None of it made sense. I confronted him immediately. Why would you text her like that if she tried to kiss you? He hesitated. I don't know. I just didn't want to make things awkward. I was trying to keep it normal. I stared at him, my heart pounding. Why didn't you tell me right away? He looked down. Because I didn't want to disrupt things between us. We've been doing better. I didn't want to ruin that. Honestly, I wouldn't have told you at all if she hadn't texted me. The words hit me like a punch in the gut. Wouldn't have told me at all. So he was going to keep it secret? That sounded guilty. That sounded like someone trying to hide their own actions, not protect me. And the kicker? Before he even mentioned anything, I had asked him multiple times that afternoon how the appointment went, and specifically how it was being around my mom. He'd brushed me off, said nothing. When I pressed for details, he finally gave me his version. According to him, when he was hugging my mom goodbye, she leaned in and tried to kiss him. He pushed her away, said, "What are you doing? I'm married. This can't happen." He claimed she then asked, "What's going on with OP?" He said he told her I was going through a lot. And then he left. But here's the strange part. He admitted he called her after. There was a 59-second call on his phone log. I asked, "Why did you call her?" He said, "We agreed it couldn't happen again. We both decided not to tell you. That's all it was." And then, apparently, he called me immediately after. But then there's her version. And her version was completely different. When I met with her, my first time seeing her all year, she told me her side. She claimed that during the massage, he made her uncomfortable. That when she told him to relax, he said, "Sorry, you just make me nervous." That he asked her to massage his inner thighs. At the end, she said, he offered to crack her back. She let him. Then, while she was tidying, he grabbed her shoulder and tried to kiss her. She claimed she pushed him away, saying, "What are you doing? You're married to my daughter." She said he replied, "Nothing happened." And when she asked why he thought that was okay, he supposedly said, "Sorry, I got turned on when you were massaging my thighs." And then this part made me feel sick. She said he added, "What if no one found out?" She told me she kicked him out, that he asked if she'd tell me, and she said no. That later, from his car, he called her asking, "Do we need to talk about what just happened? Should I come back?" She said no. Afterward, she supposedly told her friends, her boyfriend, my sister, and my brother-in-law. But none of them told me. So here I was, stuck between two stories that contradicted each other completely. His. She leaned in for a kiss. He pushed her away. Hers. He made the move, tried to kiss her, asked what if no one found out. And then there was me, torn apart in the middle, unable to trust either of them. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. He's my husband, the man I married, the man I fought for, the man whose visa I helped secure. Why would he risk all that for a stupid kiss? Why jeopardize everything? But then again, his actions didn't line up. The friendly text, the decision to keep it from me, the timing, the lies by omission. On the other hand, I knew my mother. I knew how manipulative she could be, how cruel. Would she invent something like this just to punish me for cutting her out? Absolutely, she could. I wouldn't put it past her. But if she lied, then why send that message to him? Why block him after? Why spread the story to others? And so I found myself in a nightmare, one I still haven't woken up from. I even suggested a lie detector test. I knew they weren't reliable, but I was desperate. To my surprise, both of them agreed. Of course, agreeing means nothing. Passing means nothing. But it showed me how little I had left to hold on to. That night, lying in bed beside the man I thought I knew, I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding, my mind screaming. Who do I believe? The husband I love, whose actions don't make sense? Or the mother I can't stand, whose lies have haunted me for years? And what if they're both lying? What if I never know? That's the part that kills me the most. The not knowing. I didn't sleep that entire night. I kept staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying their words like a broken record. Two people I should have been able to trust most, my husband and my mother, and one of them was lying to my face. Or maybe both of them were. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined the scene. Him leaning in toward her. Or her leaning in toward him. Their lips almost touching, then someone pulling away. The image haunted me until I wanted to scream. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I made coffee, I put on makeup, I even forced a smile when my husband came into the kitchen. But my hands were trembling so badly, I spilled coffee on the counter. He noticed immediately. "Babe, are you okay?" he asked, voice soft but hesitant. I didn't look at him. I just grabbed a towel and wiped the counter. Ai fine, I mattered. He touched my shoulder. That simple gesture made my body stiffen like ice. I pulled away without meaning to. The silence between us was deafening. Please talk to me, he whispered. I finally looked at him. His eyes looked tired, almost guilty, but there was also something else, fear. Why didn't you tell me right away? I asked quietly. I told you, he said, running a hand through his hair. I didn't want to hurt you. Things were going well between us for the first time in months. I didn't want to ruin that. That's not a good enough reason, I snapped. Something this big, this serious. You don't get to just hide it, because you don't want an argument. His face crumpled. I swear to you, I didn't do anything wrong. She came on to me. I stopped it. That's it. But the words felt hollow. They didn't line up with his actions. Why would he text her so politely afterward? Why would he call her? Why would he only tell me once she texted him first? I wanted to believe him so badly. I wanted to hold on to the man I thought I married. But the doubt was spreading like poison. That same day, I decided to meet with my mother. Just the thought of it made my stomach turn. I hadn't seen her in nearly a year, and I'd been better off without her. But I needed answers. I needed to hear her story in person. When I arrived, she greeted me with a forced smile. Her house smelled the same as always, lavender candles trying to mask something sour. Sweetheart, she said, opening her arms. I didn't hug her. I just walked past her into the living room. We sat across from each other, the tension so heavy it was hard to breathe. She crossed her legs, leaned back, and gave me that look, half pity, half superiority. I know why you're here, she said. Good, I shot back. Then just tell me the truth. She sighed dramatically. Your husband tried to kiss me. I pushed him away. End of story. Her voice was calm, too calm, rehearsed even. But then she leaned forward. You do realize he's not the man you think he is, right? My blood boiled. I could say the same about you. Her eyes narrowed. For a second, I thought she might slap me like she used to when I was a teenager. Instead, she softened her tone. Look, I know you don't trust me. I haven't always been the best mother. But this time, I'm telling the truth. Then why did he text you all friendly after it happened? I asked. She smirked. Maybe because he didn't want to look guilty. Or maybe because he wanted to keep the door open in case I changed my mind. The way she said it made my skin crawl, like she enjoyed the power of it. I left her house feeling even worse than before. If anything, the meeting had deepened my confusion. She sounded believable, but so did he in his own way. Both of them telling slightly different stories, both of them pointing fingers, both of them claiming innocence. That night, I confronted my husband again. I told him everything she said, every word, every detail. He turned pale. She's lying, he shouted. She's twisting everything around. Why can't you see that? I crossed my arms. Why would she lie? I demanded. He threw up his hands. Because she hates you. Because you cut her off. This is her way of ruining your life. I wanted to scream. Because he had a point, my mother did have a history of manipulation. But that didn't automatically make him innocent. Later that week, I decided to do something drastic. I called both of them and told them we needed to sit down together.
No more, he said, she said. We were going to talk it out face to face.
They both agreed, though neither sounded happy about it. We met at a cafe, a neutral place. The second they saw each other, the tension was explosive. My husband glared at her. My mother smirked like she was in control. I started. Okay, one of you is lying. Maybe both of you. But I can't live like this. So we're going to put everything on the table right now. My husband spoke first, his voice shaking with anger. She tried to kiss me. I pushed her away. That's it. My mother laughed. That's not what happened, and you know it. You grabbed me. The argument escalated fast. Voices raised, accusations flying, people in the cafe starting to stare. I sat there frozen, watching my husband and my mother tear each other apart. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. If you're so innocent, Why did you call me afterward asking if we needed to talk about what happened? My husband's face went blank. For a second, he looked like he'd been caught. But then he shook his head violently. She's twisting my words. I only called to make sure she wouldn't make it into a big deal. I didn't know what to believe anymore. My chest felt tight, my hands shaking, tears burning my eyes. Finally, I slammed my hand on the table. Enough, I shouted. The entire cafe went silent. Both of them stared at me. I can't do this anymore, I said, my voice breaking. You're both liars. Maybe one of you more than the other, but I don't care. I can't trust either of you. I stormed out, leaving them both behind. Outside, the cool air hit my face, and I finally let the tears fall. People walked past me, probably wondering why a grown woman was crying on the street, but I didn't care. That night, I packed a bag and went to stay with a friend. My husband blew up my phone with texts and calls. Please come home. We can work through this. I love you. But I couldn't answer. Every time I looked at my phone, I felt sick. My mother called too. Her messages were colder. You're being dramatic. Stop blaming me for his actions. You'll see the truth eventually. It felt like both of them were pulling me in opposite directions, tearing me apart. I was exhausted. I was broken. And I didn't know how much longer I could survive in this nightmare. I thought leaving for a few days would give me clarity, that maybe some distance would let my mind settle and the truth would somehow reveal itself. But instead, all I felt was more confusion, more pain, more emptiness. Every night at my friend's apartment, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every little detail in my head. The way my husband's face went pale when my mom accused him, the smug smile on my mother's lips when she realized she had me doubting him, the words they both used, the lies that overlapped just enough to make either version possible. I wanted so badly for someone else to tell me what was real, but nobody could. It was my nightmare to figure out alone. By the third day, I finally answered one of my husband's calls. His voice cracked the second I said hello. Babe, please just come home. We can fix this. I stayed silent for a long moment. Finally, I asked, why didn't you tell me the truth the first second you walked through that door? I was scared, he said instantly. Scared of what? I asked, bitterness rising in my throat. Of losing you. His answer was so quick, so practiced, that it almost made me angrier. I whispered, maybe you already did. And I hung up. Later that night, I met with my therapist. I poured everything out. The lies, the conflicting stories, the cafe confrontation, the way my entire sense of reality had shattered. She listened quietly, nodding, then finally said, you may never know who's telling the truth. But ask yourself this, can you live a life where trust is already gone? Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach, because that was exactly the problem. Even if one of them was lying and the other was innocent, I didn't trust either of them anymore. And without trust, what was left? The next morning, I went back to the house. Not to move back in, but to talk. My husband was waiting by the door before I even got out of the car. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. Thank God you're here, he whispered. We sat down in the living room, and I could feel his desperation radiating off him. Please, he said, his voice breaking. I love you. I didn't do anything. Don't let your mom ruin what we have. I wanted to believe him so badly, but my mind kept replaying that text he sent her after the massage. Thanks for the session today. Hopefully we can book another one soon. How could I ignore that? Then why did you text her like that? I demanded. His jaw clenched. I didn't want to make it awkward. I didn't want her to think I was going to tell you. I just wanted to keep the peace. I shook my head. That sounds like something a guilty person would say. For the first time, his composure cracked. He slammed his fist against the couch. I'm not guilty. Why won't you believe me? Tears stung my eyes. Because nothing you've done makes sense. We both sat there, breathing heavily, staring at each other like strangers. I realized in that moment, I didn't recognize the man sitting across from me anymore. A week later, I made the hardest decision of my life. I packed my bags for real this time. When he saw me carrying the suitcase, his face crumbled.
No.
"Please don't do this," he begged. I wiped my tears and whispered, "I can't live like this. I can't love someone I don't trust." He dropped to his knees, sobbing, grabbing at my hand.
Please.
"I'll do anything. I'll take a lie detector test. I'll do whatever it takes." But I pulled my hand away. It doesn't matter anymore. I'll never know the truth. And even if I did, the damage is already done. Walking out that door was like ripping my own heart in half. But staying would have killed me slowly, every day, piece by piece. As for my mother, I cut her off completely. No calls, no texts, nothing. Because whether she lied or not, she played a part in destroying me. And I couldn't let her hold that power anymore. It's been months now since that day. Sometimes, I still wake up in the middle of the night and wonder, what if I made the wrong choice? What if I left an innocent man? Or what if I was living with a liar and abuser the entire time, blind to it until it was too late? I'll probably never know. And maybe that's the worst punishment of all. But at least now, I've chosen peace over chaos. I've chosen myself. And slowly, piece by piece, I'm learning how to live again. Do I still love him?
Yes.
Do I still hate my mother?
Yes.
Do I trust either of them? Not even a little. And that's how my marriage ended, not with proof, not with closure, but with a choice I had to make in order to survive.